Welcome to Question It, the podcast where we rethink health, wellness, and personal growth. I'm Kevin, your host, chief inquisitor, and sometimes guinea pig, exploring fresh paths to a better life. Let's dive into today's episode and get started. Well, it's been a week since the 2024 U.S. presidential election, and the votes are still coming in. There is now only a 3 million vote gap between Trump's win and Harris's loss. That also represents Trump receiving more than 1 million votes than he received in the 2020 election. And also, it shows that Harris has received about 9 million fewer votes than Biden received in 2020. So regardless of the votes, it still is Trump's win. And as he enters his second term, I'm really curious how it's going to go. I mean, we have a pretty good indication of what's going to happen, but what if he actually chose to uphold his oath this time around? What would that really look like in today's world? So I wanted to use a piece that I wrote last week about this election and what Trump's second term could mean. And this time I put it into Google's Notebook LM to get an AI version of my original piece. So let's go ahead and hear what the AI has to say as a summary of my original piece. I'd love to hear what you guys think of this interpretation.
All right, so let's jump into this deep dive today.
Okay.
We're going to be looking at a path forward.
Okay.
This piece by Kevin R Strauss.
Yeah.
And this is written right after the 2024 election.
Right.
Which I think we all remember.
Of course.
Trump won again.
He did.
But he won with fewer votes than he got in 2020.
Yeah, that was a really interesting...
It's kind of a head scratcher.
Yeah, it is.
So that's one of the things that makes this piece by Strauss so fascinating.
Yeah. And you know what's really interesting to me is that he doesn't just kind of point fingers.
Right.
He actually lays out a challenge.
Okay.
Specifically to Trump and the Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
He's calling on them to move past all the partisan fighting.
Yeah.
And actually govern for all Americans.
Okay, so that's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Strauss goes deep into these founding documents.
Okay.
The Declaration of Independence and the Constitution.
Sure.
And he pulls out all these key principles.
Yeah.
Like popular sovereignty.
Popular sovereignty.
Which might sound kind of complicated.
Yeah.
But it's a really simple idea.
Yeah.
It means the government gets its power from the people.
Right. From us.
From us.
Yeah, exactly.
From the people.
So he talks about limited government,
Mm-hmm.
separation of powers,
Right.
checks and balances,
Checks and balances.
the rule of law.
Mm.
All these core ideas that he sees as the blueprint
Yeah.
for making America great again.
It's like he's saying hey, remember what this country is actually about.
Right.
Like
back to basics.
yeah, back to basics.
It's not about the personality.
Exactly.
It's about the fundamentals.
Yes.
The things that really make America America.
I agree.
And he's not just calling out the Republicans.
Yeah.
He's pretty critical of the Democrats, too.
Yeah, for sure.
He's saying they really failed to mobilize their base
Yeah.
in this election.
Yeah. They didn't get people out to vote.
No, they did not. And Strauss points to this fact
Okay.
that 15 million fewer people voted this time around.
Compared to 2020,
That's a lot of people.
it's a huge drop.
Yeah.
Bigger than the decrease in votes for Trump himself.
So he's kind of giving both sides a reality check here. It's
Yeah.
wake up. You're supposed to be serving all Americans.
Right.
Not just your own little group.
Your base.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And he doesn't shy away from calling out Trump's past behavior.
Nope.
But what's interesting is that he sees this election
Yeah.
as a sort of second chance for Trump.
A do-over.
Yeah, a do-over to lead differently.
Right. To actually embody these values that he talks about.
Yeah.
Actually walk the walk,
Yeah.
not just talk the talk.
Right. And he's really emphasizing this idea of unity and inclusion.
Uh-huh.
Strauss specifically uses this phrase, all men. But he makes it clear that he means all human beings,
Right.
regardless of gender, background, or beliefs.
It's about everyone.
everyone.
Yeah.
And he's really urging Trump to listen to everyone.
Yeah.
Not just the people who already agree with him.
It's about bringing people together.
Exactly. And then he just throws out this really bold proposal
Oh, yeah.
that just made me stop and think, whoa, wait a minute.
You mean the part about appointing Democrats to the cabinet?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, can you imagine?
That would be something else.
He specifically mentions people like Kamala Harris,
Wow.
who was the vice president
Yeah.
in the previous administration,
Yeah.
along with Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan,
Okay.
Gavin Newsom, the governor of California.
Uh-huh.
He even throws out names like Pete Buttigieg,
Wow.
Josh Shapiro,
Okay.
Tim Walz.
Can you imagine that cabinet meeting?
Oh, my gosh.
That would be wild.
It would be like a reality show.
It would be fascinating.
But that's kind of Strauss's point.
Okay.
He's advocating for a radical shift in our thinking,
Okay.
a move away from this constant gridlock
Yeah.
and towards a government that actually represents all Americans.
A government that works for everyone.
Exactly. And he's not just saying this for show.
Yeah.
He genuinely believes that bringing in these figures
Yeah.
who have all demonstrated leadership
Uh-huh.
and a commitment to these American values
Yeah.
could be a powerful symbol of unity.
Okay.
It would be a way for Trump to show that he's serious about bridging this divide.
Yeah. It's a really interesting idea.
It is.
It's a bold move. It is a bold move for sure. It's a pretty unconventional idea.
It is, right. It's like he's saying, hey, let's shake things up.
Yeah.
Try something completely different.
Totally.
But then again, if anyone could pull this off,
Right.
it'd probably be Trump.
That's true. Yeah, he's not exactly known for following the rules.
Right.
But the question is, would it actually work?
Right. Could these Democrats actually function
Yeah.
in a Trump administration?
Would it be like mixing oil and water?
Yeah.
Or could they find some common ground?
Right. And what about the Republican base?
Yeah.
Would they be okay with this?
That's a good question.
I mean, it would be a huge shakeup.
Yep.
Yeah. And Strauss doesn't shy away from these questions. He actually seems to be encouraging this debate.
Yeah, he wants us to really think about it.
Right.
Like, grapple with this moment in history.
Okay.
And what a truly unified government might look like.
So he's not giving us the answers.
No, he's asking the questions.
He's making us think.
Exactly.
And he even compares this period
Yeah.
to other pivotal times in American history.
Like when?
He brings up figures like Abraham Lincoln,
Okay.
George Washington, FDR Teddy Roosevelt, Thomas Jefferson.
Wow, those are some big names.
These are leaders who face serious challenges,
Yeah.
but still manage to guide the nation.
Right. They got us through some tough times.
So he's kind of saying, look, we've been through tough times before.
Okay.
We always come out stronger.
Like, we can do this.
Yeah, exactly.
He's giving us hope.
Yeah, it's a powerful message.
It is.
But I got to admit, I'm a little skeptical.
Yeah.
Can we really bridge these divides? It feels like we can't even agree on basic facts,
Yeah, that's fair.
let alone complex issues.
Right.
Like, how do you even start to have a conversation?
Yeah, I think that's a healthy skepticism to have.
Okay.
I mean, Strauss acknowledges that these divisions are real,
Right.
but he also believes that they're not insurmountable.
Okay. So there's hope.
Yeah, there's
He's calling for a shared sense of purpose,
right
a commitment to the common good.
beyond party lines.
Yeah. Put aside the labels
Exactly.
and focus on what we have in common.
He thinks if we can do that,
Yeah.
maybe, just maybe, we can find a way to move forward.
So what does all this mean for us,
Yeah.
the everyday people
Right.
trying to navigate all this?
This crazy political landscape.
What should we be looking for as Trump starts his second term?
What are the signs?
Yeah. Are there any specific signals?
I think we need to pay close attention to his actions.
Okay.
Like, what is he actually going to do?
Okay. His actions in the coming months.
Right. Is he really going to embrace unity?
Okay. Will he reach across the aisle?
Will he work with Democrats?
Or will he go back to the same old stuff?
Yeah, that's the question.
Will his cabinet picks reflect this desire for unity? Will he govern based on these American values?
Yeah, the ones that Strauss keeps talking about.
Or is it going to be business as usual?
Right, just with some new faces.
Those are the questions we need to be asking.
We need to be watching for those signals.
Okay.
Which direction is he really going?
Yeah, the next few months will be crucial.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, it's a lot to process.
It is.
It feels like this election has opened up all these possibilities.
Right.
But we're kind of in this in-between space.
Yeah.
Just waiting to see what happens.
It's like the calm before the storm.
Exactly.
But we can't just tune out.
Right.
We need to stay informed,
Okay.
talk to each other,
Right. Have these conversations.
and hold our leaders accountable.
Okay.
The future really might depend on it.
Strauss definitely leaves us with a lot to think about.
He does, and I think that's what he wanted. He's not giving us easy answers.
Yeah.
He's challenging us to think critically
To figure out how we move forward.
together.
So as we wrap up our deep dive
Yeah.
into a path forward,
By Kevin R. Strauss.
We're left with this big question. Is this vision that Strauss is laying out, this idea of a unified America under Trump, possible?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right? Is it possible, or are we just...
Are we kidding ourselves?
Yeah, are we setting ourselves up for disappointment?
It's easy to get caught up in the hope.
Right.
But the reality is we're dealing with some really deep divisions.
It's like he's throwing down this gauntlet.
Okay.
Not just to Trump, but to all of us.
To all of us, yeah.
Can we actually rise above...
Above the tribalism?
Yeah, can we find common ground?
Common ground, yeah.
And actually work together.
To solve the problems.
The real problems.
Yeah, the stuff that actually matters.
Right, and I think what Strauss is trying to do is remind us that democracy is a participatory sport.
What do you mean by that?
It's not something that just happens to us.
Okay.
We create it.
We create it together.
Yeah, we have a responsibility to stay engaged.
Yeah.
To hold our leaders accountable.
Hold them accountable.
And to demand better.
Demand better from the system.
He's calling on us to be active citizens.
Not just passive observers.
Yeah, exactly.
But get in the game.
So where do we go from here?
That's the big question.
What can we actually do?
What concrete steps can we take?
To break out of this cycle?
This cycle of division.
Yeah.
Well, I think it starts with listening.
Okay.
Actually listening to each other.
Really listening.
With open minds.
Yeah.
And a willingness to understand.
To understand different perspectives.
Yeah, even when we disagree.
Engage in dialogue.
Respectful dialogue.
Huh?
Find common ground.
Build bridges.
Build bridges, not walls.
It sounds like a tall order.
It is.
But if enough of us embrace that
spirit,
yeah,
maybe we can start to see some change.
The kind of change that Strauss is talking about.
It's not going to be easy.
Right.
But I do think it's possible.
Okay.
History is full of examples, people overcoming challenges.
Yeah.
Because they dared to hope.
So as we move forward from this election, let's keep Strauss's words in mind.
Okay.
Let's hold our leaders accountable.
To those values.
Yeah. Engage in dialogue.
And never give up hope.
Never lose sight of that possibility.
Of a better future.
A more unified, just America.
It's a challenge worth taking on.
So that wraps up our deep dive
into A Path Forward
by Kevin R. Strauss.
Thank you for joining us.
We hope this conversation has given you some food for thought.
And maybe even inspired you to take action.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and keep those brains churning.
Okay, so what did you think of the Google Notebook LM's interpretation of my original piece that I wrote last week about Trump winning his second term and how he has a real opportunity here to make some changes based on how he ran the country the first time around and what he can do differently this time around to, who knows, potentially be known as a legacy and one of the greatest presidents this nation has ever seen. It all remains to be seen, so we'll just have to see what happens. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Hopefully you'll want to join this episode's uchiTribe and get into a deeper conversation on this topic. This is all meant to be constructive. We're not just looking to, pitch one side against the other and have big arguments. I really want to try and see what we can do to help this country move forward. Okay, so until next time, peace, love, and connect. Thanks for joining me on Question It. Remember, growth happens outside your comfort zone, so keep experimenting and embracing change. If you enjoyed this episode, connect with me in the show notes, leave a 5-star review, and request to join this episode's uchiTribe. Until next time, peace, love, and connect.